Looking for a place for the whole family? Come down to the Toucan Mall in Amelia's Ward, Linden. It's the mall that has it all. We have great food, a relaxing atmosphere, and activities for all ages. Tennis, swimming, and a playground. But the fun doesn't stop after dark. There's even a bar and an arcade. And if you aren't ready to go home yet, we've even got a spacious room for your comfort, complete with air conditioning, Wi-Fi, and a private bathroom. The Toucan Mall can also facilitate your event in our spacious conference hall. We also have a theater with films for the entire family. It's the Toucan Mall located in Amelia's Ward, Linden.
Okay, a very good afternoon to all of my friends and well-wishers and relatives and those folks, beautiful folks in Guyana who look forward to our program every Thursday. Welcome once again, and this is live. We're streaming, and well, we're on Skype, and we're going to be streaming. As soon as it uploads, you will see it. But we are live, and those of you who are watching can call in, and whenever the time is right, you can call in, and I'll continue to do what I do normally. You know, take your calls and answer your questions as well as good as I can. My operator is going to take your calls, and then she will transfer it to me, and I will see it, and then we'll chat about whatever it is that makes you better. Okay, I got some important news here that I'd like to share. I was sent some information today regarding the state of things in Guyana when it comes to the COVID-19. I would advise you to not put your guards down. Don't take anything for granted. You don't understand what is going on. You don't know what is happening. Most of you don't. So don't get careless and become a victim, okay? We talk about wearing your mask. Wherever you go, as much as possible in the public, you wear your mask. We talked about washing your hands thoroughly for at least they say 20 seconds. I say more than that. That's, you know, you can sing a song partially and wash your hands, or you could maybe utter some words, you know. For at least 20 to 30 seconds, wash your hands thoroughly using soap, okay? Using soap, especially those of you who use the bathroom for whatever reason. You can, you know, make sure that you wash your hands. You need to, because you don't know what's on it, right? And then the other thing is that we talked about some time ago, many times ago actually, we talked about even your doorknobs. You know, you want to clean your doorknobs when you are cleaning your house, or maybe on a daily basis. You want to clean your doorknobs, even your keys, my friends. Even your keys, believe it or not, you need to make sure that you clean your keys, wipe it, because you may put your hand someplace, and next thing you know, you put your hands in your pocket, you take out your keys, and you open your car. Whatever was in your hand is now on your keys, and you may forget that. And then you come out of your car, lock your door, or you go into your car, order some food or some planted chips or something like that, and you take that hand and use those fingers, which were just on the keys, to eat. You know. And next thing you know, you pick up something, right? It could be something from yourself. you know. So just be very sensitive to what you do, and then ensure that you wash your hands, right? The only concern I have about some of that too is that um, we don't have facilities in place in the right places, in many places, for persons to stop and use, a receptacle or a sink where there's some sanitizing product there, maybe soap or something else that can help you to sanitize. We don't have the facilities in place. And I can say it because in my mind, I'm seeing myself driving for hours sometimes, and there's no place to stop to use the bathroom. There's no public place that you can stop and use the bathroom. Those are little simple things that makes you ready for, even if you want to say tourism. It even makes you ready for your sanitation, because if you have rest facilities or facilities along the way which are kept clean, then people will not want to stop and urinate on the side of the street, because they know if they go another mile, there's a rest station there, they can stop and urinate or use the bathroom. People defecate all over the place, on the highway, on the roadside. I mean, it's when you think of it, we are positioned for serious crises because we are not ready in many ways. I'm not ashamed to say it because it's the reality. I speak reality all the time. I don't believe in fabrication and fantasies and all of that sort of thing. This is the reality. If you want to go to Georgetown from Linden, or you want to go to Berbice from Georgetown, or if you want to go to Berbice from anywhere, or you want to go to Linden from anywhere, or to Georgetown from any distance, you've got to almost stop and beg somebody who has maybe a facility, to use their bathroom, or you've got to be a customer to somebody who has a business, and maybe there are a few of them, 2 or 3 of them along the way, who would probably have a business that has a bathroom that you can use. We don't have the facilities, folks, and as a result, we are our own victims. We are our own. We create our own environment to become victims of certain things. So we need to get our act together. Basically, we need to have the authorities who are responsible for the regions to examine the importance of having those facilities, so that if anyone is coming through from anywhere, of course you have to man it, you have to clean it, you have to, keep it at a standard. Once we have those in place, then you can be open for transportation, for journeys someplace. I used to have this thing in me when I was becoming a young man, as I was growing up. I used to say, I don't want to have any girl children, right? I used to say that I don't want to have any girl children, and I didn't say it because I didn't like girls. I said it because I used to like to drive. And if you're a boy, you could actually stop somewhere on the side of the road, and if nobody's watching you, you could open the door and you could urinate, if you have an emergency. But with a girl, they are a little more funny. Girls are particular. They don't want to have themselves exposed. They want to make sure that there's nothing on the ground, because they got to stoop and, do what they have to do, urinate. So I used to not want to have, I said that I don't want to have any girl children, because it's easy for a boy to open the door and just, find a spot that is clean or that's safe and urinate, which is not the right thing to do, right? But that's because we don't have the facilities. I still see men doing that on the side of the road, on the East Bank, on the East Coast, on the highway. I see that all the time, and that is because we don't have the proper facilities to relieve ourselves. Imagine you leaving Barbies and you're going to Tamiri, right? And God forbid you have to urinate or you have to defecate, and it's 2 or 3 in the morning. You're catching the flight at 5. What do you do? You know, what do you do? You have no choice. And then, hopefully, you will have some wipes in the vehicle. How many vehicles you know have sanitary wipes inside? Not too many. So the guy urinates or he does whatever he does, comes back at the bus, there's no water to wash. He holds the door, he opens the door, he holds his seat, Come on. Come on, folks. Those are the simple things that we have to fix. Simple things like that we have to fix. And we have to fix them soon. Because what's happening now should be a warning to many of us. Okay? There's no business as usual anymore. It's not going to be. Even at our clinic, it's not going to be business as usual anymore. It wouldn't be. We already had started taking precautionary measures because, the problem that we have at our clinic is that we don't know really what is wrong with someone until we screen them. When we screen them, then we find out. And by then, lots of things can happen. Because we get people with tuberculosis and bronchitis and all sorts of viruses. Even SARS and all of that, pneumonia and everything else, influenza. We find all of those things, and we only find those things when we screen you, and we're able to see it. So the first thing I did, I tried to put a screen there that was large enough so that if anyone coughed or so, it wouldn't get to me, right? Because we weren't really using masks back in the days gone by. I would use one, or if the moment somebody cough in the clinic, we put a mask on them. The moment we hear you cough, we put a mask on them. But what's going to happen now, you will have to come with your mask. It wouldn't be business as usual. You come to the clinic to see us, you walk with your mask. I don't care if you're coughing or not. That's going to be the norm. We're going to probably have a place where you put your shoes when you come so you can walk into the clinic without your shoe, because we ain't no way a mash and bring in. All those things have to happen. Or we're gonna have something there that you have to sanitize your shoes before you come inside. We'll have to put those things in place. Because it's a different time. Look, I know this corona affair is something that is not very pleasant because many persons are losing their lives. Fortunately for us, we don't have that situation. As a matter of fact, I'll tell you what is happening today. Okay, as of today, 12 persons have now recovered from COVID. Right, the total number of confined cases now stands at 70. Okay, the number of coronavirus deaths remains at 7, which is good. I have concerns about that too. Right, it's possible that it's true, but I have some concerns because, we don't know everything, but it's probably close to the truth. To date, a total of 375 persons have been tested, with 305 of those testing positive. I think that's cut out there, right? Let me see. In quarantine, there's 17 persons, right? While 51 others, I think, are quarantined at home. 5 patients are currently in the COVID-19 ICU at the public hospital. Okay, the public, let me see, Public Health Ministry continues to offer psychological support for those who are affected, right? Now, I have this feeling that persons are dying of other causes. We still have people who are dying of other causes. I also have a feeling that we've had this condition present more than the time when we really recognized it, but it wasn't something that was really noted or something that was mentioned, you know. But I think we may have lost people, or people may have had this condition before we started looking at them. As like I said, we found 2 persons with SARS even before COVID-19 came along, you know. So I am certain that this thing has been around for some time, right? 12 persons have now recovered. Total number of confirmed cases stands at 70. Well, I think I mentioned that. Deaths remain at 7. What else I see here? Let me see. I got something else on here. Let's see what it says. This was sent to me, but I'm reading it because it is not. It's not a paper. It's on my phone. U.S. pumps Guyana 100 million into Guyana's fight against COVID. U.S. pumps 100 million. 100 million Guyana dollars, I would think, right? Not 100 million U.S. It would be nice. Okay. Yeah, this is the news about the U.S. government pumping 100 million Guyana. Gotta be Guyana to help with the fight against this COVID condition, the COVID scenario, I should say, right? So, you know, we're getting help from the U.S. We're getting help from all over, you know, many persons. Tomorrow we're gonna do something for the doctors at Linden Hospital. I've sent some masks in for the doctors. You know, I mean, I could send for everyone, you know, all the nurses and so, but that would take a I thought like Mr. Trump, that'll take a tremendous amount of money. I don't even know how many nurses we have there, but I think other persons should come to front and, you know, make your contributions to those persons who are on the front line, because, you know, let's not play. Without the doctors and the nurses, will be chaos, and we don't need to take them for granted. You know, we need to honor them in some way and help them under these circumstances to protect themselves, because they have families. Many of them have their own families, and we don't want them to be exposed or, you know, take anything home. So let's do whatever we can to bridge that gap between someone who has it and a nurse or a doctor who could be exposed to that particular virus, which we don't want to have happen. Okay, all right. I've got some videos that I want to show, and we could start now with at least 1 or 2 of them. Maybe we'll do 2 of them one after the other, so we could bring you up to speed as to what is happening. Okay, so you stay tuned.
This is Dr. Cameron Kyle Seidel, ER and critical care doctor from New York City. 9 days ago, I opened an intensive care unit to care for the sickest COVID-positive patients in this city. In these 9 days, I have seen things I have never seen before. In treating these patients, I have witnessed medical phenomenon that just don't make sense in the context of treating a disease that is supposed to be a viral pneumonia. 9 days ago, I presumed I was opening an intensive care unit to treat patients with a virus causing a pneumonia that was ravaging lungs across the world, starting out as something mild, cough, a sore throat, and progressively increasing in severity until ultimately ending in something called acute respiratory distress syndrome, or ARDS. This is the paradigm that every hospital in the country is working under. This is the disease, ARDS, that every hospital is preparing to treat. And this is the disease, ARDS, for which in the next 2 to 6 weeks, 100,000 Americans might be put on a ventilator. And yet, Everything I've seen in the last 9 days, all the things that just don't make sense, the patients I'm seeing in front of me, the lungs I'm trying to improve, have led me to believe that COVID-19 is not this disease, and that we are operating under a medical paradigm that is untrue. In short, I believe we are treating the wrong disease, and I fear that this misguided treatment will lead to a tremendous amount of harm to a great number of people in a very short time. As New York City appears to be about 10 days ahead of the country, I feel compelled to get this information out. COVID-19 lung disease, as far as I can see, is not a pneumonia and should not be treated as one. Rather, it appears as some kind of viral-induced disease, most resembling high-altitude sickness. It is as if tens of thousands of my fellow New Yorkers are on a plane at 30,000 feet and the cabin pressure is slowly being let out. These patients are slowly being starved of oxygen. I have seen patients dependent on oxygen take off their oxygen and quickly progress through a state of anxiety and emotional distress and eventually get blue in the face. And while they look like patients absolutely on the brink of death, they do not look like patients dying of pneumonia. I have never been a mountain climber, and I do not know the conditions at base camp below the highest peaks in the world, but I suspect that the patients I'm seeing in front of me look most like as if a person was dropped off on the top of Mount Everest without time to acclimate. I don't know the final answer of this disease, but I'm quite sure that a ventilator is not it. That is not to say that we don't need ventilators. We absolutely need them. They are the only way at this time that we're able to give a little more oxygen to patients who need it. But when we treat people with ARDS, we typically use ventilators to treat what's called respiratory failure. That is, we use the ventilator to do the work that the patient's muscles can no longer do because they're too tired to do it. These patients' muscles work fine. I fear that if we are using a false paradigm to treat a new disease, that the method that we program the ventilator, one based on a notion of respiratory failure as opposed to oxygen failure, that this method, and there are a great many number of methods we can use with the ventilator, but this method being widely adopted at this very moment in every hospital in the country, which aims to increase pressure on the lungs in order to open them up, is actually doing more harm than good, and that the pressure we are providing to lungs, we may be providing to lungs that cannot stand it, that cannot take it, and that the ARDS that we are seeing, that the whole world is seeing, may be nothing more than lung injury caused by the ventilator. Now, I don't know the final answer to this disease. I do sense that we will have to use ventilators. We will have to use a great many number of ventilators, and we need a great many number of ventilators, but I sense that we can use them in a much safer way. In a much safer method. That safer method challenges long-held dogmatic beliefs within the medical community and among lung specialists, which will not be easy to overcome. But I really believe that they must be overcome. There are hundreds of thousands of lungs in this country at risk, and the time to overcome them is now. I'm confident that if those of us that work bedside with these patients, those of us who are witnessing the things that we have never seen before, despite the many years we have worked and the thousands of patients and diseases we have seen, if we can effectively communicate this to all those that are so important but who are not bedside, the researchers, the administrators, those who procure our resources and make our protocols, the politicians, our own government, if we are able to convince them that this is a disease that is different than anything we have ever seen, I am confident that an answer can be found, that effective treatment can be discovered, and that a plan to disseminate that treatment can be rapidly deployed, and that tens of thousands and probably hundreds of thousands of lives and lungs will be protected. The time for this is now. We are staring into a future in which a great many of our fellow Americans are going to suffer, not to mention people all around the world. For those who will not suffer directly from this disease, from the terrible human cost of this disease, for those who will not lose a family member or a friend, and there will be a great many number of people who will lose those close to them. But for those who don't, they are still going to suffer from the great economic cost of COVID-19. We are all involved in this future. So I urge you, for those of us, if you are out there, for those who work bedside, I urge you to speak up. We can change this. I thank you all for listening. Please spread the message
Okay.
and stay safe.
I guess you heard, and you hopefully would have realized that we are not fighting with or battling with influenza. We're not battling with the common cold, even though we still didn't get a cure for the common cold. We're actually battling with the unknown. We really don't know what's all involved in this COVID-19. But I have an idea. I have a very good idea what is happening. I've been digging into a lot of things, and I've been speaking with some serious persons who understand what is happening. And I have my own views, and it's all coming together. You know, this is an agenda that we don't understand, and it is not in my opinion, again, I have to say that it is not a normal virus that we're dealing with or fighting with or trying to combat here. It is a virus which comprises of other things. Okay, it has other gotta be careful here how I use the words. It has other diseases or viruses in it. So it is very difficult for a weak immune system to combat it if you have already bronchial troubles or hypertension, diabetes, tuberculosis. You know, if you have if you have a weak immune system, then your chances of coming out of this is not good. That is the reason why I kept saying for years that you need to build your defense, And when you build your defense now, I would suggest that you maintain your defense. Don't allow your defense to crumble, because when it crumbles, you have problems, because viruses are present all the time. Okay, and if it's not COVID-19, it'll be something else, right? So you want to keep your immune system up, and you want to make sure that your body system is functioning properly. You don't need diabetes, you don't need hypertension, you don't need pneumonia, you don't need any of those. You know, you don't need HIV/AIDS, you don't need those things. You need to make sure that your body is equipped to not have to be in a battle with those things. You know, I gave out formulas for hypertension, I gave out formulas for diabetes, I gave out formulas for all sorts of things. And you can't say you weren't prepared. You can't say you weren't given information to have you prepared, to be prepared. You were given information, at least I know I've done it, for years, to prepare you for things like this. You know, we talk about your dietary habits, everything. So there's no excuse, no excuse. I wanna say thank God we don't have those large numbers, and I don't expect that we'll have them, because our population is very small, and we have a very serious immune system in Guyana. Okay, many of us have that, right? Okay, we're running out of time actually, and we have 2 more videos that we want to show. I want to really open the lines to you so you can make your calls, and I will try to answer your questions. Don't be afraid to state anything, because I'll be able to somehow, you know, answer your questions. So let me see if there's anything that I need to address at the moment. This is how we're going to do it. Okay. You're going to call the number, and you will have a you will state your concern or condition, and my operator will record it and send it to me, and I will do my best to respond as quickly as I can, so that we can have enough of your questions answered. I know you feel kind of odd because you're accustomed calling me and I'm answering you right there, but it's almost the same. You know, I'm just not right at your fingertip, but I'm there. You know, I'm right there. I'm there in spirit. I'm there in in words, I'm there in image, so you can't say you don't know. I'm not there, I'm there, right? Uh, Somehow, hopefully, um, Guyana will be able to maybe open up, open up soon enough. And I would suggest when we begin to open up, that maybe we just keep the borders closed for maybe a week or two and monitor the condition, and then open your borders maybe one by one, you know, so that you can monitor things. And while you open the borders, put mechanisms in place at the borders so that we could screen people as they come in. If it's the funny thing though, the bad thing with that is some persons don't have symptoms and they have the virus. They don't even have a temperature. Some persons don't have a temperature, and they may have the virus. They may not have a cold, but they may have the virus. You see, that is the bad part about this virus, because sometimes there are people who are carriers. Their immune system is so capable that they can carry a condition and pass it on, and it wouldn't affect them. We have carriers of HIV/AIDS like that. It's not affecting them, but they can transmit it to somebody else. We have carriers of STDs. They're not having the symptoms, they're not having discharges, but they can give it to someone else, and we see that all the time. We see it all the time. We screen people, and now how did I get an STD? I get no burning, I get no white passing, I get no nothing, and and you wonder how come I get this thing and I don't even know I got it. Well, some people, their body system is so immune efficient, not deficient, efficient, that they can pick up diseases and they can carry it and it wouldn't affect them. It's like that. It wouldn't affect them right away, but at some point it will. Trust me, it will at some point. So try to avoid being careless in any way. Try to avoid positioning in yourself where there are conditions that exist, like for instance in the minibuses and the taxis. It's really crazy. It's not going to be business as usual. I can see the taxi drivers with a shield in the back of between the seats. I can see all of that. There's some plexiglass or something installed there, so that you could be behind that, and as you cough and everything else, it doesn't get to front. I can see all that happening, really. So it wouldn't be business. The minibuses will have that too, I think. They can start. Somebody can probably begin to look at that. Maybe some industry can be started to build those screens. You can call them screens, so that the people in the front can be protected from the people behind, and maybe behind each seat they will have something like that they can pull down. I don't know what they'll do, but they're going to have to put things in place so that that they can protect themselves and they can protect others. I mean, it's when you think of it, it's going to be really okay. A caller said that we should read the following books of the Bible, and we will understand what is going on in Chronicles, Isaiah, and Jeremiah. Okay. We've had plagues and so that occurred many years ago, but we've had similar conditions like we have in today that happened not very long ago. As a matter of fact, I think I have a video there which will remind us that we did have some of these similar type of problems some years ago, before many of us were born. So what is happening now, I guess, is part of what will happen as we grow, as we go, as we age, as we exist or coexist, because of sin and because of greed and experimentation and all sorts of things. So read the Bible. I mean, the Bible is the book of wisdom, and is the path, is the book that I think outmaneuvers all books, because it has information in there. When I read the Bible, sometimes it reminds me of a situation that says, we went before you, so we're preparing you so that you wouldn't experience the pitfalls that we had. The Bible is a book like that. It is written, and it's a book of wisdom that is beyond any books. So go to your Bible and read. Those of you who have Bibles and who believe in the Bible, read Chronicles, Isaiah, and Jeremiah. Not just any particular chapter. Just read the whole thing. You're home. You aren't doing nothing. Some of you ain't doing nothing. Just getting fat, right? Just eating and sleeping, right? You're not working no place. You're not doing anything but just eating and maybe walking around from the kitchen to the chair to the television to the kitchen to the bed. That's all some of you are doing. Some of you should be reading and enlightening yourself, and you can exercise at home. You don't have to leave your house to exercise. You can exercise in your house or in your yard. I say some of you can plant. I've got a good friend who sent me some pictures planting. The family is home and they're planting out of boxes and other things, pots, and so planting food that they can eat. Some of you need to get off your hindsight and get some seeds or get some stems, and plant and feed yourself, because you know what you're going to be reaping when you plant, right? You don't know what you're buying in most places when you go out to buy things. So some of you are just home doing nothing. Get out there and plant. You got rain, you got sun. That's all you got there. We don't get snow in Guyana. We don't get cold weather, not very cold, right? So we have the kind of weather that you could plant, man. Get out there and plant some pak choy and some callaloo and some boro and okra and peas and so. And it doesn't really need a whole lot of space to do many of those things. That particular type of planting, you can do that with a little space. Plant your thyme, plant your lemongrass, and so, let me see. We try to do this in the technological way. Now, there still is a lot of talk about 5G and how 5G is a factor in this whole thing. Well, I don't want to give my mouth too much liberty, but 5G, in my opinion, does have a role to play in some of what is happening here. It is technology that we can use, but I'm concerned about the machine or the mechanisms that are used to provide the 5G, right? That microwave or those signals coming from the equipment that helps us to provide the 5G. Now, I want to mention that here in Florida, it was realized a couple of days ago or a day ago, that pets are having the virus. Dogs and cats having the virus. Now, they were tested positive, and I am of the opinion that those animals belong outside your house. They don't belong in your house. That's my opinion. You can build a kennel and put it in the yard, and the dog or cat can have a house that they can live in. They shouldn't be in the same house with you. I don't think so, because they come with things. They come with fleas, they come with ticks, they come with their own viruses and so, and you don't know what they have. but they were tested positive, and it goes to show that even pets will have this virus, right? Some time ago, it was said that a tiger or a lion had it, so don't take chances. Don't, the pet may be okay, but build his house outside, you know. We talk about the fact that the pets go outside and they walk on places too. They walk where you don't walk. And they come into the house and they bring in what you can't see. So you need to take precautionary measures to protect yourself and protect your pets if you so love the pets, right? We also have situations where baby
If you still don't believe in the 5G conspiracy, please watch this. Speedtest.net. Many of you know this website. I literally just went to look at the speed of my internet and I stumbled across this by accident. Discover your nearest 5G deployment. It's a map of the entire world and all the 5G networks. Now watch. Here's a quick COVID update. USA has now more than doubled second place. If you take a look at the heat map for USA, you'll notice everything is happening on the east side of things, mainly New York City. Other than that, second place is California. This is a world map of all the 5Gs that have been deployed all over the world. USA has 5,500, while the rest of the world don't even equal 3,000. New York alone has a radius of about 1,500 deployed 5Gs, and California is second with almost 350. Follow and share this as I do the exact same thing and break down each country. 5G is what's killing us. Part 2, Mexico and South America. Mexico has a population of over 130 million people. This is a COVID heat map of Mexico. Nothing is going on. Out of 130 million people, they only have 1,500 cases. Well, why? Could it be because they don't have any of the 5G networks that have been deployed all over the world? Zero. Brazil, more than 210 million people. Brazil is leading South America in most cases, but they only have 8,000. To put that into perspective, Canada has more cases than Brazil and Mexico combined. Brazil has 5 deployed 5G networks. The rest of South America doesn't even equal 10. Pretty self-explanatory. 188 5G deployed networks in Puerto Rico and Dominican Republic combined. Does that make any sense? Share and follow to see part 3. 5G is what's killing us. Part 3. Europe. In the top 13 countries with the virus, 10 of them are European. Why? Well, second to America, the small little pocket of Europe has over 1,200 deployed 5G networks, all within a small radius. If you zoom into Europe, you will see right in the dead center of Europe, almost 700 5Gs have been deployed. Do you remember where the outbreak started in Europe at rapid speeds? In northern Italy, just south of Switzerland. Attached to this map is an actual Twitter feed from the people who made this website. And if you zoom in here, on July 25th, 2019, Italy was one of the first European countries to get 5G. Countries like France, Germany, Spain, and Finland all got it 1 week before that. Part 4 in the next video. 5G is what's killing us. Part 4, Africa. If you take another glance at the heat map of the world for the COVID coronavirus, you'll notice that Africa is barely touched. Also important to note that Africa, as of 2016, has 1.2 billion people. I know what you're going to say. Hot places are not getting the virus. Hot places are not spreading. Okay. Then explain this. Out of all of Africa, the place with the most cases is the country furthest away from all the action. South Africa. They have the most cases with under 1,500. Now take a wild guess which African country has the most 5Gs deployed. Yep, you guessed it. South Africa. Climate and temperature is not the common denominator. Check out part 5 as I dissect Asia. 5G is what's killing us, part 5, Asia. Now you're going to want to listen to this one. It is well-known information, and most people know that Wuhan is the first city in the world to roll out a 5G internet tower and antenna network. It is also the first city in the world to experience the COVID coronavirus epidemic. This is the coronavirus heat map for Asia. This is the Asian map of the 5G networks that have been deployed so far. Watch how symmetrical each map is. 5G map, coronavirus map. 5G map, coronavirus map. Now for what I find most interesting. India not only shares a border with China, they have the exact same population, but they don't even have more than 3,000 cases. 1.4 billion people and not even 3,000 cases. Now guess how many 5G networks India has? They have zero 5G networks. That's why.
Okay, we up again here.
Are you scared yet? They say this thing, it kills your immune system, attacks your lungs.
All right, we're back on the air, and